अस्सलाम वालेकुम वेलकम बैक टू लेसन्स विद सीको। आज हम टॉपिक डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं इट इज़ रेडियो एक्टिविटी। लेकिन रेडियो एक्टिविटी एक बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है और रेडियो एक्टिविटी को डिस्कस करने से पहले टू थिंग्स दैट वी नीड टू क्लियर हैव अ क्लियर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ आर एटम्स एंड न्यूक्लियस। सबसे पहले हम किसी भी मैटर को देखते हैं और जब हम उसको एक माइक्रोस्कोप के अंडर ऑब्जर्व करते हैं कि वी नोटिस दैट इट इज मेड अप ऑफ टाइनी पार्टिकल्स which we call atoms. Now, before we knew that atoms होते कैसे थे, we had a very general and base understanding of what an actual atom looked like. In fact, 1896 was the first time when J.J. Thomson even discovered electrons. तो इससे हमें ये पता चलता है कि the knowledge of what an atom is and what it constitutes of is not very new. One of the earliest models that discuss the um, insides of an atom was the plum pudding model. Now, plum pudding model कहता ये था कि the atom is a positively charged pudding, huge pudding that has all this positive charge, and in this positive continuous charge there are plums of negative charges all around. Now, there was a scientist from New Zealand called Ernest Rutherford, who challenged this idea. Now, about this time, radioactivity or radiation का concept introduced हो चुका था. So, Rutherford performed his infamous alpha scattering experiment to investigate the atom. The design of the experiment was very simple और जो hypothesis था उसका वो भी एक बहुत ही simple से principle which is electrostatics उस पर based था. Rutherford ने क्या किया? He used a lead box that had a hole in it and an alpha source. और उस alpha source को उसने direct करवाया to a gold foil कुछ इस तरह से उसने एक गोल्ड फॉइल के ऊपर उस अल्फा सोर्स को डायरेक्ट करवाया और अल्फा सोर्स इज इनहेरेंटली पॉजिटिव इन चार्ज और कंजेस्टेड ये था कि इफ द atom is positively charged like the plum pudding model said तो electrostatics की वजह से the alpha particle would deflect back. However, during the experiment, it was noticed that majority, about 98.8% of the alpha particles went straight through, वो cross कर गए. And कुछ में there was some deviation and a very, very minute amount of alpha particles, around 0.002%, were deflected. इससे plum pudding model absolutely negate हो गया और Rutherford ने ये conclude किया कि the the positive charge is at the center of the atom, packed at the center, or the electrons are revolving around this which thing that he called the nucleus. और आज हमारे पास यही model of atom आता है where we have a nucleus that has neutrons and protons, and in energy shells we have electrons revolving around the nucleus and shells, subshells, and orbits. Now, let's talk about the constituents of an atom. Here we have electrons, we have the nucleus, और एक nucleus के अंदर we have protons, and we have neutrons. Now let's talk about these three. Let's give them these symbols और बात करते हैं इनकी properties के बारे में. First, let's talk about their charges. The electron has a negative charge of -1. Proton का charge +1 है. और जो neutron होता है, it is neutral. और since it is neutral, the nucleus is positively charged. ठीक है. The relative masses are of proton 1, of neutron 1, or in comparison to these two, the electron has a very, very small mass, so it is almost negligible. और इनकी पोजीशन की बात करें तो this is orbiting the nucleus. The proton is situated in the nucleus and the neutron is also situated in the nucleus. अब इन different elements को represent करने के लिए we use different symbol, and for different symbol we have the periodic table. The periodic table is based on the increasing protons number from 1 and goes up to 103. और इसके अंदर how we represent these is most important. For example, this is helium. Let's say we had an element X. Helium के case में it has 4 nucleons and 2 protons. Now Z is used to represent the proton number and A is used to represent the nucleon number. Proton number is just the number of neutrons. Nucleon number is the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. And so this is how we represent these two. Next up, we're going to be talking about radioactivity and particularly alpha beta gamma radiations, half-life, and background radiations.